Wonder Woman is in the Dorklair. Welcome to another Dorklair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Classic Wonder Woman. This figure went up for pre-order at New York Comic Con, so this is a super fast turnaround on the release for this one. I mean, I kind of knew it was going to happen because they had the packaging already there, and they had the short pre-order window. So, you know, like, it's not surprising that it came out quickly. But yeah, this thing's in our hands already. I got to say the articulation is absolutely terrible on this figure. You know, I'm usually pretty forgiving when a figure has limitations, but the way in which this thing moves makes it very difficult to put it into a dynamic pose. And so, like, even if there's just like one or two dynamic poses, I'm usually pretty forgiving. But this thing has very little. So this is getting an absolute like D- failing grade on the articulation part. But it has some pretty cool things going on. I mean, it looks really cool. It's going to look awesome with the Justice League. You know, it's got a really cool set of accessories. The head sculpt is fantastic. This cape looks great. They've got a wire in the cape, which they don't always do, and I'm glad they did with this figure. So, you know, it's not all terrible, but yeah, that articulation is just, it's so bad that it just makes me almost not like this figure. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to figure out a decent dynamic pose that I can put her in, and that'll kind of take the sting a little bit away from that that articulation issue. But they definitely need to start working on their female body that is just so limited. But anyway, let's get into this review. Getting a quick look at the packaging, I thought I'd start with the back because I do think the back, the artwork is excellent on here. So there's the back of the box. It's the smaller Mezco exclusive box. You got that on the side. I love their packaging. They do a really good job with this stuff. But yeah, there's a look at the box. Starting off with the sculpt, paint, and details, I think this, in my opinion, is a strength on the figure. I think this head sculpt is excellent. Awesome hair sculpted. The face itself has like shading and stuff. So yeah, so this head sculpt is excellent, as is the other sort of more action pose. The eyes are painted really well and everything on this. So yeah, this is a great looking head sculpt in my opinion. And then kind of getting into the body itself, you can see the neck is all sort of one piece, part of the torso, and you know, that's sculpted really well as well. And then so into the armor, the chest armor here, this is basically like a separate piece. It's sort of like a rubbery piece, but it's so stiff that it doesn't allow movement, even though you can see she does have an articulation point in the upper torso. It doesn't really allow for much there. But there is a little bit of unseemly joints going on here and here, but kind of looking straight on, it doesn't really bother me much. You got to get up into the shoulders to really see it there. And then, so you can kind of see the nicely detailed paintwork on that armor. I do wish maybe there was a little bit of a wash or something on the gold part up here, and maybe down here, but there's nothing there. But in general, the body armor looks pretty good. I really like that. And then you have the shorts over here that are, this is the only thing that's sort of like a fabric-y piece on here. And it's got that Mezco thing where it's like fabric, and then you have like the sort of pleatherly overlays over the top of it. Mine looks pretty good, slightly off-centered, but not bad at all. And then there's like some lines down the side. She has a couple little leather straps to kind of put like her weapons on there and stuff on each side. The seam does get a little messed up on this side over here. So you can see the seam right here, and definitely at different angles, you can see it starting to kind of like push out. It's just the nature of, you know, what's going on. It's just not tight enough. You know, I don't know if they have, I'd like to see some other people's of this. As you kind of like bring her leg back, it tucks in a little bit, but that's definitely kind of a bothersome look right there. So another knock on this figure right here, that it's got that going on. But in general, the shorts look pretty good, aside from that little blemish there. And then down into the legs, not much to say. Obviously, you have this seam here. I would rather have not had that. I mean, you can twist it a little bit up at the top, so I would have preferred not to have this seam here. But it adds a little bit of articulation. It's like, I don't know. They put articulation where I don't want it, and then they took it away where I wish they had it. You can see the knees. And then the boots. The boots look fantastic. Great looking sculpt there with the boots. So generally speaking, the figure looks great. Oh, I didn't look at the gauntlets here. Let me get a close-up of the gauntlets. You can see the stars are painted pretty well on there. And then on this side as well. You can see the inside. So yeah, the look of the figure I really like. I think it's a great looking figure overall, just aside from this little piece right here. I think she's going to look great next to the rest of the Justice League. For comparisons, I'm just going to bring in the figures that I have to sort of make my own current Justice League, and that is the Sovereign Knight Batman from Mezco, and then I have the Green Lantern, and I also don't have a Superman, but I do have the NECA Superman, so you can kind of see how Superman looks mixed in there. So yeah, I mean, I kind of got my own little Justice League going on here with these 4 characters, and so I do hope Mezco comes back to revisit Superman and give us another shot at that, because that figure is really hard to find. I actually had it and got rid of it because it's just not that great, so I just don't love that figure, and so hopefully they'll come back and do another Superman soon. For accessories, Wonder Woman comes with this alternate angry head sculpt, and I think it's awesome. I'm probably going to have her with this on there on the shelf, just kind of as my standard look for this Wonder Woman. She also comes with this shield. Very nicely sculpted. Again, I do wish there was a little wash or something to kind of like dirty up that super clean looking emblem on there. But the inside is also painted, and the straps are kind of functional leather looking straps. So really nicely detailed piece right here. She comes with a spear, which is pretty cool. This thing is awesome. I do love all the weapons she comes with. She comes with the lasso that's kind of rolled up, and what you can do with this is on her side here, she has this little flap, and then you can kind of undo it and then put it back on there. So that kind of goes right on her side there. She's also got this wire version of her lasso, so that you can kind of have her swinging it around and kind of using the lasso as she would in action. And she's got this sword, so that's pretty sweet. Again, all the weapons have a really detailed sculpt work going on. If not the best paint, like I do wish, again, there was a wash inside there. It would have really kind of brought out that sculpt even better. She has this axe. Probably my favorite weapon she comes with. And here's just a close-up of the cape that I showed earlier. I love the shine on the backside of the cape. Really nice. This is an excellent cape. I love it. It does seem a little bulky up in this area when it's on her. Like this clasp here feels just a little on the bulky side. It does have some kind of nicely sculpted detail, but just feels a little thick and bulky when it's on her. That's kind of the nature of the issue with soft goods on 6-inch figures, though. She comes with a pair of open hands, a pair of angled gripping hands, and a pair of straight gripping hands. Of course, she has this stand. Beautiful. This is one of the best stands I've seen in a while. I really like what they've done with the with just like the setup on this. Looks awesome. Great stand. Of course, the stand also can unplug, and then you can put the flight arm in there as well. All right, here we go with the articulation. My biggest gripe with this figure, and quite frankly, it almost makes me dislike the figure. It's very rare for one detail like that to kind of ruin a figure for me. I'm usually pretty positive about things, but this is pretty bad. I guess I should have expected it because it's the same body that their other figures use. But with Catwoman or something, like there's articulation in the torso, so it kind of makes up for it. With this, because of the armor, there's none. There's no articulation, or almost none. She can't twist very well. She can't crunch really well. So I don't know. Like there's just not much you can do. Here, let me take this thing off. Okay, so the head can kind of look down this far and then can look up this far. So just a very little bit of movement there. It can rock a little bit side to side. So you get a little bit of movement out of the head. Nothing crazy. If her arm's up, it's going to block the hair. The hair is definitely going to get in the way of the articulation, but you can get a little bit of movement out of the head. So the head is not really my biggest gripe on this figure. All right, so the shoulders can swing up this far and then swing back down. They can rotate all the way around. No issues with the shoulders. No bicep swivel. The elbows are 90 degrees. That's it. And then the elbow does twist right here. So you get a good movement there. But yeah, 90 degrees only. Big problem right there because this is 112 Collective and they talk about hyper articulation. So pretty good movement in the wrists. They spin around and then they rock. So not bad there. But then you have the torso. So there is an articulation point here, but it doesn't really do anything. Like there's not really anything I can do here. I'm putting some pretty good pressure on that. You can get a little bit of crunch forward and back at the waist. So this is about all you get in the torso. And then when you try to twist her, there's just the tiniest amount. I can't really go past this point with the twist. Again, her legs can kick only so far forward. There's just not a lot of kick forward. This thing keeps pulling out too, so that's an issue there. I wish that wasn't happening, but yeah, she can pretty much only kick out. I mean, I don't want to break my figure here, but she can only kick out this far, and even then, it's off to the side a little bit. So that's just not. I mean, that's just not much at all. There is a swivel at the thigh, and then you can bend the knee a little past 90. So that's not terrible, but again, it's not great. The biggest issue is not being able to kick very far forward, and then the knees being fairly limited. And it's just, you just can't do dynamic poses. All right, so then down into the ankles. She's got a great ankle rocker, so that's pretty good. So when you do kind of spread her legs out, which she does well, you can get into some wide stances. So I guess there's that. And she can point her foot down and up, and it can spin around. And that's pretty much it. There's just not much going on for this figure for articulation. So hopefully I'll find one or two poses I can do that'll make me a little more happy with this figure, because I do love the look. I do think she looks great with the rest of the Justice League. But for $90, I want more articulation, Mezco. Anyways, thanks for watching my video, and until next time, may the Force be with you.